welcome back. Welcome in. That's right. It's okay. I don't mind if you actually go ahead and share this with someone to be a part of this conversation, to pull up to the table, because yes, I am your host, Shawanna Kennedy. Welcome to Soup Sessions. That's right. This is the place where what creativity simmers and our stories, they serve up a little bit. And every guest, which could be you, bring a little bit of their flavor to the table, bring it to the mix. I'm excited because I get to have a wonderful conversation with a lovely young lady, Miss Gwendolyn Houston-Jack. I can't wait to get into this conversation. Let's see what she's cooking. What's going on? Let's have a conversation. Welcome in, Gwendolyn.
Hello, how are you?
I am excited. I'm doing wonderful. Look, I am hippopotamus happy and peacock proud to have you in this session tonight. Yes.
I love that. That is awesome.
Yeah. I say hippopotamus happy, and because that's big. When you think hippopotamus,
big, yes.
That's kind of big. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. I love it because I know you being a career coach and the things that you get to do as a photographer. And we think about creativity and things simmering.
Mm-hmm.
Being a coach and the mix of photography, that's a lot in itself. So I have to know, like, what happened with you to even get that stirring, like to stir your soul to say, I not only want to coach you, but I want to actually freeze a frame too.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'm gonna shorten this story because I started my photography journey, if you will, when I was a kid. I was given a pink 110 camera. And my parents just had this idea, and I fell in love with photography, specifically capturing my family's history. And I carried my camera through junior high, high school, college. Obviously, I adjusted my cameras, but I carried it all the way through. And I stumbled into the role of career coach through retail. I like retail. I know it sounds bizarre. I enjoy talking to people, serving people, but I also really enjoyed helping people reach their ultimate goal. And although I said, I'll never be a manager, my boss was like, Gwendolyn, this is your calling, sis. This is for you. And so I spent 15 years coaching other people, growing their career, helping them get to where they really want to be, helping them walk in their purpose. And sometimes that included walking them out of my building and into someone else's building, because that's where they're supposed to be. But in that time, because I am a creative, I always kept the camera nearby, right? Always kept it nearby. And so I was planning for my second career, my second chapter, which was going to be and is a photographer. So when things got ripe and ready, I was like, I am going. Now, I should be honest. The good Lord had to push me out the door. But clearly I was right and ready because I was like, no. He was like, no, it's time. But my team missed me, and I miss working with people in that manner. And it was one of my former team members who said, perhaps I should pay you for all this time that we are talking and working on my career, now that you're not with the company. And so that's how that started. It's just.
Now, how did that feel though? Okay, when someone said, you know what, I really need to pay you. And you said the good Lord, because so we know that the good book mentions a little bit about a servant being worthy of hire. How was that when the person actually said, you know what, I am actually willing to pay you for what it is that you do to help me? What does that feel like?
It was, it's one of those moments where, despite the fact that you tell all of these other people to recognize their greatness, like I remember telling people when I would hire them, we only hire great people. So if you're here, that means you're great, own your greatness. Sounds wonderful, right? I know how I walk into the office, how I walk into rooms, and yet and still, there was this person who was like, shouldn't you be paid for this? And I don't know that sometimes as a person who has an attitude of servitude, we forget that we should probably collect a little something here and there. But it felt wonderful. I felt validated. I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? Why not do that? I just, in the beginning and still, I just like talking to people. Like if you're in retail, you're a person who enjoys talking to people, helping them solve their problems. If I had not gone to retail, I'd probably be a taxi cab driver. Really.
It makes me think about that show though. What is it? What's the cab show? Wait. Where they have these amazing conversations right in the cab.
Yes. It was like cab diaries or something. I can't remember what it was, but yes.
So of course, I'm visual as a creative, right? I see things right away, and I see now. I cannot get that picture out of my head. It's picturing you in the front of a cab, right, talking to people, looking through your rearview mirror. Great. So thank you for doing that.
Yes,
I love this. I love this. This is so good. When you think about, I know you said being in retail and you serving, but along the way where you said, I am this coach, people are willing to pay me. How was that? And did you lean into any of your favorites to say, now that I'm really going to walk this thing out, this part of my life? Who assisted you along the way with that?
I have my mentors that I've had since college who have helped me with a number of career ideas. And I had to think to myself, I've had people that I have turned to who could always see my future. And it's really interesting. Like, we can dream for ourselves, but there's always, I have found someone else who was always thinking even bigger than what you're thinking, right? Like, they're up here and you're right here. And sometimes they think beyond what we're capable of, but a lot of times we will rise to the occasion. Now, I often think about Prince and every artist he has worked with. Now, people can talk about Prince as they see fit, but he would give them other things to do. They'd be like, no, I can't do that. I can't sing and play the piano and dance. And yet they did it, right? So I turned to my mentors to help me get on the right path and think about how I wanted to craft what I do. And what I do, it's not different, but it is. Like, every single coach has their something. My something is taking everyday situations. I partner it with lyrics. I love a good Prince lyric, as well as movies. Love Star Wars, Twister, The Matrix. I love a good movie all the time. And then we just make it simple. But I meet the person where they are. And it's not as if we're really having a conversation about a particular thing. We're going to talk it out. Now, I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist, but it is staged and it works as such. But, I'm a former adjunct professor. So I believe that we really have to do the work. If you come to the session, this is not okay, well, I think I got it, I'm gone. It's like, no, I am calling you to follow up, because that's what I'm accustomed to. And what I did for my team and what I've done as an educator is just how I operate.
No, I love that, because being in the space of service and helping people to understand not only whose they are, but who they are. I am affectionately known by people who know me as Pom Pom. That's power over mindset, power over me. And when you say that, because like you said, the warm and the fuzzy, it's not about that. It's all about that self-work, because I know just even watching you from afar, and you really do make them have to peel back the layers of who they are. What does that look like? What does that feel like, so that they can go out and be the thing that they're intended to be, even if it's for a season? It's like, what does that look like? So I love that you said that also. And then you caused me to reflect. Being a singer-songwriter, one of my many mentors along my way, especially in music, I actually had a recital. Now don't ask me, because I can't play that song today. But because of the love of music, I was asked and said, he said, no, you need to be able to play and sing at the same time, Shawanna. So Once Upon Another Life, I still sing, but being able to play, but that was the one thing that I was challenged, and I did do it. So as an adult, as a young adult, I did have to learn how to play. So when you said that you brought up a fond memory, even for myself. When I think about you too, how does it feel when you do all of this coaching, all of this pulling and helping people? Have you ever wanted to be like, you know what, right up and through here, I might want to put a pause on that? Do you ever feel that way?
Yes and no. And here's where this comes from. So the one thing that I have learned, and I have lost, and I have again. So in my stormy season, things come to light. Like, what you truly value shows up. Now, my mother is a retired minister, and she would always say she has yet to see a U-Haul follow a hearse. And I thought, mother, really? But when you almost lose everything, and I am saying that, at one point I was homeless. I had to figure out where I was going to stay, what I was going to eat, what I was going to do, didn't have healthcare, all the things. You are tested. Your character shows up. Your integrity shows up. what you truly believe and value shows up. So I went from having this life in New York City, living by myself, making conscious decisions, because these were conscious decisions, forcing the life that was not meant for me. And I ended up in that boat. And I thought, okay, dear Lord, please, I am needing some faith here. I am needing some faith. There was a moment I considered suicide, and I literally freaked myself out thinking, if you did this, what happens? And so once I got myself back together, because we had like 1 foot, maybe half a leg in depression. So I did have some counseling that's necessary. But once I got myself back together, I did not go back to this world of hustling and struggling for things. Time with my family, time for me became my number one focus. So as a coach, what I want other people to do, what I want others to have for themselves is to live a life that is sustainable, but it's focused on their values. It is profitable, but it's about them and their best version of self. So twice a year, I take a tech disconnect. Gwendolyn disconnects from all technology. I go dark, typically like right after Thanksgiving, and I don't come back till maybe the first week of January. It is time for Gwendolyn to reset. It's with my husband, my grandbabies, my family members. I have no care concern about social media. None of that matters, because that's not where one of my values. It's like it's way at the bottom. So that's was there ever a point where I was burning both candles? Yes, there was. Yes, there was. I'm not gonna lie and say it wasn't there. But when you get knocked down or sometimes knocked in the throat, you start looking at life and saying, okay, so what do I really want to leave this world with? If I have this one life that I'm going to live, what am I going to do with it? What really matters? And although I love a great handbag and a beautiful pair of shoes, my time with my family, those memories, that's priceless.
Yeah, no, I love it because I saw it once someplace. I believe it was actually a place that, because I've done some facilitating with other employer groups, and I believe it was one of their slogans, and it said, creating memories worth repeating. And that's one of the things that I hold dear to me, because the things, especially in this stage, in this age of life, being a creative, and we know that when you know who you are and you believe and you tap into that area of creativity, like you said, with not only you helping people in their careers, but being a photographer, it's like the experience of what that looks like when you look through that lens, right? Because I love a good picture. Some of my best pictures I've had to take myself. Amen. But it's like seeing what other people see, because I know what it looks like. How you just said, sometimes we don't see what other people see, what people have seen in us, or they think bigger, or they see bigger. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it's the same thing for us. We see bigger. How do you help people to overcome those challenges with the people you've had to work with and help them to come through that, to see themselves a little bit bigger?
Wow. How do I, it's a patient process. It's a patient process. A good chunk of what I do in the beginning is about holding space. So I am there as a listener, but I listen through not only what they're saying, but the choice of words, how they say it, how it's framed. I'm looking at body language, and I just pretty much ask them, I return it back to them in question form, because people will say something, but if they really hear themselves, it's like, do you really hear what you're saying? Have you heard this phrase and that phrase? And where did that come from? Is that from you or someone else? Because what you're telling me is not what I'm seeing right here in front of me. And a good chunk of that is just holding space for folks to just show up and just share whatever it is that's in their heart to share. Now, there is a little asterisk. If there's something in there that goes a tad bit too far past my expertise and requires somebody with some letters behind their name, I'm like, okay, pause, because I can't do that. But the first areas is just those first few sessions. It's just holding space for someone, just to hear them. A lot of us are not heard, believe it or not. We're not heard and we're not seen. But if I may take a little slight pivot, as a photographer, the same thing is there too. Like, there are so many images out here about what we are not, because we've been sold a particular look, and we're aiming for a particular look, fashion, and style. As a photographer, when I photograph people, I am still holding space for them. We're still having that same conversation. The catch, though, is I am capturing them in a moment of time. And when they see it, they're kind of like, wait, is that me? It's like, yes. Now, I don't like touch it what the good Lord made. My mama said the good Lord didn't make any mistakes. I may take out your rosacea, but other than that, we are not adjusting anything. But it helps them see themselves as how I see them. And it typically goes into some other conversation. Now, I never say, you should join my coaching class. I never do that. But we do have other conversations.
Well, I would be remiss because you did mention that, though. How can people get in touch with you if they just so happen to might want to, have a conversation with you?
The best place is my website is grhjack.com. It holds all of the many things that I do. I believe the good Lord has blessed all of us with 1,000 geniuses. And I'm the professor who also likes to play with all the crayons. So on that website, I have a place where I can tell my story, but also I show all of my projects. I write, there's photography. I like being in front of the camera. I'm obviously behind the camera. I don't believe that I should leave this earth not sharing all the parts of me that the good Lord has given me. I mean, hey, what can I tell you? He does it for everybody. Like everybody has like 1,000 gifts.
No, I love it. And when people are free to operate in that, one of the things when I think about being a creative myself is even as it relates to my hair. How about that? My hair. And because later in life, I decided, okay, I'm more expressive in me. So I was kind of a late bloomer as it relates to that. And then you already know in career, it's like having the look. And it's like, they want you to have a certain look all the time. I tell people all the time, if you want to experience Shawanna, remember my face, because I had to become what I needed. And so as a creative too, when you think about becoming what you need, what is some of the advice? What was one piece of advice that you would actually give our people that's kind of, look, they pulled up to the table, they ear hustling, they over our shoulder right now, listening at this conversation. What advice would you give them?
Oh, wow. What advice would I give them? I would say to start with your values. And I mean like your true values. I'm a values person, but your true values, because a lot of times we are given our values like as a child, right? And some of us stick with that. We never get to a place of what do I really believe in? Who am I truly? Like we rarely get there. So I always say start with your values and to not be afraid to walk away from what you've always known. Now, you mentioned hair, Shawanna. I actually made a physical transformation, i.e. cutting off all of my hair to match the emotional and mental change I was going through. And that was back in 2001. Have not looked back because I wanted folks to know that when they saw me today, I am not the person they used to know. I mean, back in the day, people called to be Gwen, and I was like, yeah, sure, because I didn't know that I had a choice in how people should receive me. So I reclaimed my name. I created the look that I believe is amazingly beautiful, and I stomped in that. Now we're talking like 20-something years, 25 years next year. I have a birthday coming, I have an anniversary coming. So we're talking 20-something years in the moment, in the movement, in the making of what is and who is Gwendolyn Houston-Jack. It's a marathon. It's like an ultra marathon. So people are seeing this work in progress like, oh my God, it's amazing. This was not overnight. It's not overnight. I got a couple of cuts and bruises. I have stories. But is it worth it? Every single moment, it is worth it. Every single one.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Don't y'all love the flavor around here? This is pretty tasty over here in this session. I want to thank you, Miss Gwendolyn Houston-Jack, for pausing, pulling up to the table to have this session with me. This has been amazing. I know, look, the folks that are peeking in, y'all need to make sure y'all show her some love. Go check out her website, all of the things. And look, I'm going to have to look, get some more of your recipes or whatever the heck you cooking up over there, because I know you got a whole cookbook, right? I love it. I love it. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for stopping by and having this conversation with me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, and you for stopping by this session, this soup session, where what? Creativity simmers. We know that our stories are served up, and because of you, our amazing guests and our viewers, because you stopped by, you add a little bit flavor to help us mix it up, and it comes out a little bit tasting a little bit sweeter because you were here. I appreciate you. I'm Shawanna Kennedy, your host. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.